Welcome to the Ignite podcast. My name is Caitlyn Moyes. Stop squeaking in your chair, Heather.
And I'm Heather Morris. Caitlyn's trouble today. I like this for the start of our podcast. This is episode 33. I cannot believe that we've done 33 of these. We've gotten through 33, Caitlyn.
Yes, I need to get it together.
Yes, you do.
So this one is called Overthinking, Changing the Narrative from Within. And you had a great check it out last week. And so we are going to continue to check out this topic and just have a whole episode on it about overthinking, maybe not worrying about what other people think, tips on how to avoid overthinking. So all the things like that.
I do feel like, first of all, I encourage you to go to Pure Magazine and read this again, even if you read it the first time. So it's the misses of overthinking. I think that overthinking anything can become obsession.
Yeah.
It causes worry. It causes, and we all know that, God says not to worry about those things because He's going to provide. However, is it easy to not worry and overthink? It's not. We all do it. So, but this specifically is talking about overthinking how other people perceive you.
Yes.
So this is something that I feel like every person and definitely every young person struggles with. We all are thinking about what are people going to think about what I'm wearing? What are people going to think about my hairstyle? This is a real thing. So what do you think, Caitlyn?
I think it's definitely a real thing. And I'll say with a person with myself that struggled with social anxiety, I think that's kind of the root of the anxiety is, what people are going to think about me and this and that. And that's where that anxiousness comes from. But I don't think we have to live in that anxiety. And that's what I'm working on. And so we're going to share a couple of tips with that. But do you have any experiences with overthinking? I think you're a pretty confident person and you don't care as much about what other people think of you, which is amazing. But when you were younger, can you think back to any times where you did care about what other people thought a little bit too much?
Yeah, I think number one, you can be too overconfident sometimes and you can cover it well. You know what I mean? Mine was a little more of, I had sisters. I had 4 sisters. So we all were pretty close in age. So it's kind of like the company you keep. Mm-hmm. So the company I kept were 4 other women, young women, and they were kind of the critical voice in my head. So I think that, again, none of them were doing anything wrong or trying to be hurtful or whatever, but I think growing up like that made me think that that's how every woman is. That's how every girl or teenager or whatever, they're all looking at my outfit. They're all looking at what I did with my hair or the pimple on my nose or whatever. And then I started to meet people like you as an adult, Caitlyn, and you don't care what I look like. You just want to know, am I happy? Am I healthy today? Did I have breakfast? You're concerned about my well-being. So, I think it might have a little bit to do with the company that you keep. And what's creating that voice in your head, but then it's also going back to being strong enough not to listen to that, no matter who the company you keep is. But a little bit of that is taught, and I just want to encourage listeners that maybe stop, look around at that company, and think about: am I around people that are really concerned about me? And then how do I avoid or how do I deal with it when I'm around people that are critical of me? Because I don't want that. I want to hear what God is saying about me. I want to hear about what positive people that are encouraging to me are saying about me, and not those other ones. So I don't know if I'm rambling, but this is very hard for me as a parent to watch my children stress out about this kind of stuff. And they're actually pretty strong and pretty good. They have their own styles, but I just hate to think that they think that they're not good enough. So, yeah.
Lots of good points. And to kind of talk about childhood, if you grow up in a household where you're constantly like put down, I think that can definitely affect your self-esteem. And if you have had a parent or a sibling or somebody in your life when you were growing up that said very hurtful things to you, that might be the narrative that you carry with you into your young adult years. So I just encourage everybody to let go of those narratives that don't serve you, that are negative, and that can do a lot of good. So, one quote that I found that really helped me with this topic is, "Other people's opinion of you is none of your business."
Oh.
And that came from Rachel Hollis. And I really remind myself of that. Like when I'm concerned about, okay, is this person thinking I'm this way or that way? None of my business. Like, I'm not going to waste my time anymore on thinking about what people think of me, because oftentimes that perception isn't really true.
That's what it's talking about in the, I like that, Caitlyn, thank you. That's what it's talking about in this article from Pure Magazine, that a lot of times we're guessing what other people are thinking and we're getting it totally wrong. So we're stressing over something that somebody else is thinking that they're not even thinking. Right. So, yeah, you're right. I mean, we should mind our own mind. Instead of mind our own business, we should mind our own mind, right?
That's good, Heather. Yes. And some tips here I found from another article. This is on personal growth from Omar Itani. And it's called 8 Steps to Help You Stop Overthinking Everything. And I'll go through a couple of them here. The first one is change the story that you tell yourself. So like when I was growing up, other people told me that I was so shy. And I think that kind of led to then social anxiety. Like if I thought, oh my gosh, I'm like such a shy little person, then I'm going to act that way, you know, but then changing the narrative and saying, okay, maybe I was acting like that, but that's not who I am. I can be outgoing if I want to be. We can change who we are at any point in time. The second one is let go of the past. So that kind of ties in with the thing I just said, with letting go of maybe a past version of yourself or behaviors that you used to have. Say, maybe that's how I was back then, but that doesn't mean I have to be like that now. I love the verse from 2 Corinthians 5:17. It says, if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. So I think back to my days in high school. I'm completely different now. Like the friends that knew me back then would look at me now and be like, you're a totally different person, because that's just the transformation that happens when you let God into your life. And let's think about one more. Focus on what you can control. And this says, when you find yourself worrying, take a minute to examine the things you have control over. So we have control over our own thoughts. We don't have control over the thoughts of others. So that just ties in with, you know, we can't control what other people think about us. We can do our best to be kind to them and to be a positive example. But other than that, we just got to do our own thing.
You know, I like that now you're like pulling something up from my childhood that might be a problem, Caitlyn. Wow, you did that to me. No, when you were sharing, thank you for sharing, but when you're sharing about people saying like you're shy and then maybe that makes you feel like, well, first of all, I'm sure that made you feel like that was a negative like thing. And I'm sorry for you that happened, but it's kind of the same thing, but the opposite when you are always kind of the life of, I'm not trying to say that, Caitlyn, but like, you know, like I was like it's
okay, you can say it.
Okay, I was kind of the life of the party, you know, like always had the joke, always did the funny things, always, you know, had like a cool thing to show people, or wore like a shirt that would draw attention, or, you know, whatever. You can take that however you want to, Caitlyn. But then when I would not have anything to be funny about or not be the life of the party, it would be like, well, what's wrong with you today? Something must be wrong. Well, guess what? When I was a kid, my parents put food on the table and I went to school and, whatever. There probably wasn't anything wrong that day. But then it like encouraged me to be like, well, let me find something funny. And if I wasn't like being funny, then I felt like, well, now that's the only thing that people see me as. Do you get what I'm trying to say? They only see me as being funny. So what am I if I'm not funny? What if I'm just quiet today? And then there's like a little bit of forced funniness and you're not funny. But that was me caring what other people thought about me. And there's just such a danger in that, because then I was at the party and I felt so icky and I just wanted to leave. So this really, like, as a youth leader and a parent, like this conversation could be the one thing that could like turn you into such, and it, like, give you so much anxiety, and you just, who cares what other people think? Who cares?
I'm telling you, I know we all want to think like, who cares? But it's hard. It's honestly so hard. But that's why we have those tips and stuff. And another one is just get out, unplug, and get in nature. Because with social media, oh my gosh, like you can post something and then you can get however many comments about people telling you that they hate you. That's the world that we live in. But on the flip side, you can get a ton of positive feedback and that can boost your self-confidence. But we can't have our confidence be in that. We have to have our confidence in who God says that we are.
Yes.
And another quote that I came across, this is from Sylvia Plath, and it says, "My mother said the cure for thinking too much about yourself was helping somebody who was worse off than you."
Love it.
Yes, and I think with working here, it has helped tremendously. I feel like I've stopped caring so much about what other people think about me because I just love serving the people that we get to serve here, So that's been a huge help. So I just invite anybody listening, like when you are stuck in your head too much, go out and do a kind act for somebody. Like just be nice, give a smile to somebody, be kind to strangers. It really makes a difference.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes,
be nice,
I will
Heather.
be kind. I'll be kind, Caitlyn. No, I think you're totally right. And again, I'm going to bring it back to being a parent, but I hope this for everybody. Like, we are all children of God. He wants us to come to him as children. He wants us to, let me explain that part though. He says, come to me like a child, because children are completely clueless about the kind of things that as teenagers and adults we're then aware of. Children don't care what other people are thinking. They just want to run through the mud.
Worry free.
Yeah, they're worry free. They want to get dirty. They want to see stuff, smell stuff, taste stuff. So I think that that's a good reminder, if that you can go back to that like simple thought. They don't care if their hands are dirty. They'll still eat the peanut butter and jelly sandwich from the dirty hands. You know what I mean? Like, okay, don't go that far, Caitlyn. But, I think that there's somebody that loves us so much and wants us to just come to him as we are. And as soon as we embrace that, as soon as you really embrace that, it does not mean, Caitlyn, I appreciate that you're saying, Heather, that's still hard, because it is. But starting to think like that and starting to remind yourself that you are a child of God and that he cares about us and loves us and, that kind of stuff, it helps. And then hopefully it's training your mind to go back to that every time you start to think about what other people think of you. Overthinking is such a scary thing because it can lead to such anxiety and such depression. Yeah. I know so many fellow adults that did not learn as a young person to control those thoughts, and they're having to deal with it as an adult. So anyway, I'm sorry, I'm ranting today, but
ran away. Yeah. You got some good stuff to talk about. And I always like to go into God's word on the topic that we're talking about. And I came across Ephesians 2:19 through 22. So this is just for anybody that has felt discouraged or beaten down by other people maybe saying mean things about you. It says, whenever you feel unloved, unimportant, or insecure, remember to whom you belong to. And like you said, we're children of God. And I think we want to talk more about this topic in the next episode, but we're going to actually dive into what if someone insults you directly? Like, how do you address that if somebody is just mean straight to your face? And we're going to talk about why people might be rude, and we're going to talk about how we can respond to those insults. So stay tuned for that. And Heather, do you have a check it out for us?
I do. And I'm glad that we loved the check it out so much last week that we went on to use it today. So I must have done something good. Okay. So if you go to peermagazine.org, this time I actually went through Facebook to get to peermagazine.org. But did you know that they do monthly, we've spoken about this before, but they do monthly reviews on the best, like the latest podcast, the latest movies, the latest artists. This newer periodical, the newest that's come out, they're talking about Lauren Daigle's new song. Yes.
Yes, I love it.
Say it. Well, how do you say her name?
Lauren Daigle.
Yeah. So she's got a new song out. So they're talking about like reviewing it and talking about the words and breaking it down and telling you how, like what it's about and where you can get it and that kind of stuff, get it for free. So go on to puremagazine.org. We all love her. She never wears shoes.
Yes.
I love that. So anyway, so if you go to puremagazine.org, you can hear about the latest video games, movies, podcasts, artists, and I believe there's also a monthly like kids star that's there. So that's just a fun one because we're kind of heavy.
Right. That is a fun one. And I love Lauren Daigle and I love her free spiritness. Yes. She dresses like how I dress when I'm not at work. Okay. And we just want to conclude with the ABCs of salvation. The A is for admit that you've done wrong. This just means that we've all sinned. We've all fallen short of the glory of God. The B is for believe that Jesus died for our sins. And the C is for calling on his name by asking Jesus to come into your heart. And we can follow those steps and ask Jesus to come into our life. And that's when everything begins to change. Thanks so much for tuning in today. And until next time, ignite your life.